Let's fucking go.
Welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to review Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episodes 5. And Episode 4 ended on this huge cliffhanger. I mean, this was a cliffhanger of all cliffhangers. I mean, Episode 5 ended with Vanessa taking a sharp piece of glass to the side of the dome and Bullseye and Daredevil on the run. With Wilson crying over her body. Now, there was a lot of speculation whether she died or not. And then, like, the conversation around that was like, there was a conversation either whether she died or not, because, you know, TV shows death and movie deaths tend to be, like, definitive. And what I mean by definitive is usually, like, there's either a reconfirmation, you know, someone gets shot and they hit the ground and like we don't really know if they died or not, and then someone comes back around and yep, they're laying on the ground, dead, motionless, not breathing. Boom, they're dead. Or it's dramatic, you know, but this one was dramatic, but she hit the ground and she seemed to be still conscious. She was bleeding out, but she seemed to be still conscious. So we had the idea that she may be alive. Also, whenever a female character dies who is a love interest to a protagonist, to an antagonist in this case, but most of the time main protagonist, the idea of fridging usually comes up, which is, no one knows what that term is. Fridging is when a female character is killed for the sole purpose of motivating a male character. That's what fridging is. I've always kind of not liked that term, because I feel like, well, because I've always felt like, well, in that wording of the definition of the word, it makes it basically seem like, so if a male love interest of a female character dies to motivate her, you know, growth or whatever, to push her story along, is that not also fridging? That always kind of throws me. I'm like, so it only counts if it's a woman. And also sometimes, like, it makes sense. Like in Vanessa's case, it makes sense. She is. I only consider things fridging when a female character, love interest / character, has little to no urgency. She has no story. She hasn't made any decisions of her own. She hasn't had any arc. She hasn't had any time. Like, she is literally just this girl in the background, the daughter, the girlfriend, the mom, and she dies just to motivate. I'm like, okay, now you can kind of call that fridging, but this fridging is particularly with the love interest. Like, if the love interest doesn't do anything, and she's like, literally the entire season go by, she doesn't do anything, and she just dies in the end, that's fridging. I wouldn't consider this Vanessa dying fridging. But this episode kind of caught me off guard, because I feel like all of us kind of expected all hell to break loose. Because we kind of expected them to skip by the Vanessa thing. I think most of us thought that they were going to just like, Vanessa's dead, and it was going to just like cut to maybe Wilson Fisk in his office crying, or in his house crying, and it was going to be like maybe like a day or two later, and they then had to feel like he's crying, like he's losing his shit. But instead, episode 5 decided to focus on to really add more context to the now. Sorry. Episode 5 decided, this pollen is kicking my ass. It's been kicking my ass for a month. But anyways, episode 5 decided to focus on using this as a calm before the storm. They decided to use this as a semi-flashback episode. I say semi because while the episode is like 54 minutes, I'd say 30 minutes of it's flashbacks and like 20-something minutes of it is like normal, like here in the present stuff. So, semi-flashback episode. But sometimes flashback episodes can be cheap. Sometimes flashback episodes can be just used because they have nothing to do. Usually flashback episodes, you always see flashback episodes in anime and stuff. Shows that have too much time on their hands. Which is why I've never been the component of, some people always like, we want to have, 20-something episode seasons like back in the day, or 16 episode seasons, or 13 episode seasons. Completely forgetting just how much filler are in seasons that are that big. Like, Like, for all the hubbub you keep hearing from people talking about the Netflix shows, retroactively sucking off the Netflix show's dick, people forget the sheer amount of complaints about the 13 episode seasons. I remember people complaining and being like, we need less episodes. I remember people bitching and moaning about that. I used to fight people on that. I used to be like, because I love the shows, because I love, most of the shows, so I like being in the world. So I was like, you know what? Even though this episode was unnecessary and it didn't add anything to the plot or anything, I still just enjoyed hanging out with these characters. But even I am like, yeah, like, these shows should have been like maybe 9 or 10 episodes. I think 9 episodes. I think 9 episodes is the appropriate amount. Maybe 8. 9 or 8 episodes. Anything more than that, you better have a fucking plan. Like, you know what I mean? Anything more than 9 or 10, you better have a plan that requires it. Or just make the show whatever it requires to tell the story. That too. But I digress. This is not necessarily, I don't see this as a filler episode. I see this episode as Call Before the Storm. Because they use the flashbacks to redefine and affirm things that we know about these characters. They use the flashback to show just how, to add more importance to not only Vanessa's death, because she does die at the end, or it seems like she dies at the end, but also just to show to show Wilson Fisk and how they met and how interesting that it's like their paths were just destined to cross, and Vanessa was destined to meet Wilson, and Matt was destined to fight Fisk, and this interesting thing. Meanwhile, while Kingpin, aka Wilson Fisk, is stressing out in the hospital as they're trying to save Vanessa, you have this entire thing going on with Daredevil and Bullseye, where Matt is fighting his morality. And Matt Murdock from the comics and in the show, that is sort of his calling card. It's his Catholicism and him having such a difficult time on battling his inner demons, in knowing when to pull back and when not to pull back, and him dealing with the fact that the man he hates the most in the world, the man who killed his best friend, Foggy, is in front of him, and he's trying to save his life. And the reason he's trying to, I think that's where the flashbacks work at it best, because it explains where Matt's head is. That's why I say sometimes people use flashback as cheap little, okay, we're gonna just use this because we got nothing to do this week. We got the space to clear. They didn't do that here. They used the flashbacks to show how much Wilson cares about Vanessa, to show how much she changed him, because in the flashbacks of Wilson Fisk, you see who he was. And you see how you see Will also in the flashbacks, they bring back Foggy and Wilson and Wesley, which was awesome to see Wesley. Foggy we saw, we knew he was gonna be back. I didn't know the actor who played Wesley was coming back, so that was cool. And they also retconned some things with Buck, because in season 1 of the Netflix show, sorry again, in season 1 of the Netflix show, like there were these mysterious killings that happened. And we never really knew who did it. It was just a faceless guy. We never knew who did those killings. And them saying that, oh no, it was Buck who did that, kind of retroactively makes it so that Buck was always a part of the story. So I like that. But seeing Foggy come back was such a treat. To see Matt and Foggy bounce off of each other again was so fun. And to see how Matt's morality used to be so different a long time ago. Seeing him and Foggy and Matt argue over should they help this one guy who's kind of an asshole, drug dealer, scumbag, but they found a way to get him out of prison. And they're like, should we do that? Should we help this guy? And Matt being so against that. Matt being like, dude, this dude isn't, like, should we? In fact, I found it very fascinating that Matt sounded a lot like Karen so long ago. And Matt having in the flashback, and Matt thinking about the flashback in the current day while he's trying to save Bullseye, really just reconfirms, like, I have to live like this. I have to be a better man, because Foggy isn't around to be a better man. And for me, I know a lot of people still hold out hope that Foggy can return. And while I love the actor who plays Foggy Nelson, and I love Foggy, and I think he was such a key part of what made that original series great, like, now that they have made the decision to kill him off, and they have made the decision to make his death mean so much, which is the thing that this episode is all about, is making these 2 deaths of Vanessa and Foggy mean so much and showing just how they affected each person differently, right? Whereas, we don't know how it's going to affect Wilson. We think we kind of know, but we don't know for sure. Whereas Foggy's death affected Matt so bad before, he's finally starting to come around and like be like, you know what? I have to live for the both of us. And you know what? I'm going to honor you by living approaching this morality from the same angle you would want me to approach it from. And like, it's like Foggy, he is taking Foggy's death and he is turning it into something positive, into something that his friend would be honored by. Whereas Wilson is about to take Vanessa's death and become an even worse monster. I love this episode. It didn't have any action in it. I didn't know how I felt about it while I was watching it, but by the time it all wrapped up and we got this amazing performance from Vincent D'Onofrio and we got these amazing performances from Charlie Cox and Bethel, by the time that shit wrapped up, I was like, I'm ready for whatever the fuck is about to happen next week. I give episode 5 a 9 out of 10. Anyways, guys, thank you for joining me on Comedy Guy Movie Show. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Comment below. What do you think is going to happen next? I think we're getting Jessica Jones next week. Thank you guys again. See you on the next one.